Today we will be discussing the latest updates on the Trump impeachment scandal, including the announcement of a second whistleblower.
Followed by new anti-vaping legislation passed in Los Angeles.
And finally, we're bringing you the latest CSUF and local news. All this and more on today's episode of The Report.
Hello and welcome to The Report, Kelsey Fullerton's premier source for news, views, and information. I'm Gabriela Martinez.
I'm Ryan Matthew.
And I'm Jefferson Denham.
And I'm Bree Eastlick. Before we get started with our first hot topic, we'd like to invite you to be part of the discussion. Click on the link in the description of any of our report episodes to fill out a secure Google form with your opinion on any controversial issue that we've talked about now or in the past. As many of these issues are recurring and evolving, we also have a Twitter account. Follow @TheReportCSUF to check out our polls, questions, and news updates.
A second whistleblower has come forth in the ongoing Trump impeachment scandal. Mark Zaid, who now represents both whistleblowers, claims that this second individual has first-hand knowledge, whereas his first client only spoke with people close to the situation. The impeachment inquiry originated from a call made on July 25th between President Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Trump pressured Zelensky to investigate a Ukrainian gas company with ties to Joe Biden's son, Hunter, who was a board member. For more on this developing story, we turn to CNN reporter Suzanne Malvero.
A second whistleblower coming forward, intensifying the accusations President Trump pressured Ukraine to investigate former Vice President Joe Biden and his son. Their attorney telling CNN this whistleblower works in the intelligence community, has firsthand knowledge supporting claims made in the first whistleblower's complaint, and has already been interviewed by the intelligence community inspector general. The White House continues to spin, writing in a statement, it doesn't matter how many people decide to call themselves whistleblowers about the same telephone call, a call the president already made public. It doesn't change the fact that he has done nothing wrong. But the White House transcript summary of that call shows President Trump repeatedly pressuring Ukraine's new leader to investigate his rival. Trump feels confident he can survive an impeachment vote if it goes to the Senate.
They have no choice. They have to follow their leadership. And then we'll get it to the Senate and we're going to win. The Republicans have been very unified.
But he's facing harsh criticism from some Republican senators after this.
China should start an investigation into the Bidens.
Senator Susan Collins joining Mitt Romney and Ben Sasse in rebuking the president's comment.
It's completely inappropriate.
Romney taking it a step further, calling the president's China requests brazen, wrong, and appalling, sparking Trump's fury on Twitter, assailing the former GOP presidential nominee's lack of loyalty by writing, the Democrats are lucky that they don't have any Mitt Romney types. They may be lousy politicians, but they stick together. Some Democrats claiming their Republican colleagues are treating Trump like he's a dictator.
This is wild, the lengths to which Republicans are going to try to avoid being criticized by this president.
This is a story that has been developing. We've been talking about it for about 5 weeks now, 4 weeks. So President Trump is trying to stir the pot, and he's doing a heck of a job at it for sure. What he wants is to damage Joe Biden's image, because who is his biggest competitor? Joe Biden, right? Is this going to affect the presidential elections coming up in 2020? Definitely. It will definitely damage Joe Biden's image, but something's happening. The tables are turning, and I don't think it's damaging Joe Biden's image anymore. I think President Trump is looking a little interesting in this story. What do you guys think?
Well, I think that, first of all, I love when he says, you know what, Mitt Romney said something bad about me. Impeach him! As if that's an option. You know, what an idiot. There is something to be said, by the way. I just want to read this quick quote to you. You're becoming the judge and jury. It's not your job to tell us what we need. It's your job to comply with the things we need to provide oversight over you. That's not some Democrat that said that. That was Lindsey Graham, 1998. Hey, Lindsey, from 1998, can you please call 2019? He needs to hear from you.
This type of information being leaked out, there has to be a strategy behind it. There has to be a reason behind this, because a president leaking out this type of information, you want to do something. I'm sure he's plotting something against not only Joe Biden, but what else is in it for him? What do you think is in it for him?
Well, I think that he's just pushing the boundaries as far as he can possibly go. Do you remember the famous quote, I can stand on a street in New York, kill someone and not lose any voters? I think he's like that. He's like this toddler who's testing the boundaries, trying to see how much he can get away with.
He's still continuing on saying that he wants to find out who this whistleblower is. He wants to meet them and confront them. But like we said last week in the report, is he can't do that. Under law, they can stay hidden. They don't have to say they are. And I think that he just needs to move on. We get it. You want to meet them, but you can't. So move on.
But he's gaining coverage from it all. He's gaining coverage. I mean, like I mentioned, we have a month talking about it, and it's still the hot topic today.
It's just him with a giant pot and him and his spoon sitting here spinning that giant pot. Why do you keep wanting to do illegal things? It's not, we don't want that to happen. We're not going to let you happen or have that happen. But I think, again, it's not going to end anytime soon. We're going to be reporting on this probably until, the next elections come around where, we'll see what happens to his presidency then. But now let's move on to some different news now. We're talking about the city of Los Angeles has now joined the fight against vaping-related illnesses. They will be the second city after San Francisco to ban all flavored tobacco products, including methanol, from local business shelves. The law was passed unanimously by the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors, who hope that California Governor Gavin Newsom notices their efforts and passes a statewide ban on vaping. The law will take effect in the next 30 days, and businesses have 180 days to obtain a new license that follow the new city regulations on tobacco sales and have these products removed from their shelves. And I personally think this is fantastic. Obviously, smoking has been an issue for thousands of years, not thousands, but like a very, very, very long time. It's affected thousands of people, however, but it's been happening for a long time. And I believe our government has been doing a lot to cut back on tobacco intake, specifically amongst the youth. And this is honestly, I feel like this is more geared towards getting the appeal of tobacco or vaping out of the youth's hands, out of their image, because it is honestly, like as somebody who has, a few siblings who are teenagers, they think, that's not that they think it's good, but they definitely don't look bad on it. It is something that is more kind of, you're kind of cool. Ooh, you're like a senior in high school and you can vape. How fun is that? It's kind of getting that stigma away from the youth and thinking it's okay to do that.
I'm just very confused. I don't understand what's going on. Wait, there have been about 18 deaths?
23
deaths till today? Okay.
According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, there have been 23 as of today, 23 people who have died nationally due to vaping-related illnesses. And just last week, they had that 23rd person who was only 17 years old.
Okay, 23 from e-cigs, right? There have been 480,000 deaths per year in the U.S. from deaths from cigarette smoking. So I'm thinking, wait, after 23 deaths, you're banning e-cigs, but there have been 480,000 deaths per year in the U.S. dying from smoking cigarettes, and you're not doing anything about it?
Well, it's money. Let's face facts. I mean, in this country, money rules typically. And this is just a city, right? You know what I'd be interested in, going with what you said, how many children have died from obesity-related deaths? We were just talking before the show how obesity is like this huge epidemic. Why aren't there warning labels on the kind of crappy food that we say is fine to give our children? Why don't we say, let's pull this kind of product out of the stores, because we've seen a direct correlation with science to say this is dangerous, it's poison for our kids. It's money.
I also think that one of the problems is because it's really focused. Like vaping, many kids are doing it. My brother has told me stories about how he's 17 years old in high school, and he has told me how many kids have gotten in trouble for going to the bathroom during class and vaping in there. So it's about the kids. I mean, according to the New York Times, there's been 1,080 illnesses already.
I get it, but there are also kids who are also smokers.
There are less. That is going down, but it's still a factor. I totally agree.
It really is. So they should do something about it.
So do you guys think that with this, that taking away the flavored tobacco products specifically is going to kind of decrease that youth intake of tobacco?
I think that kids do dumb things. Remember when you were in middle school, high school? We've all done stupid things.
Yeah.
However, all the dumb things that we do don't necessarily kill us.
Yeah.
And this does.
We'll have to see what they say in the future and what's going to happen.
I just don't agree with it. Yeah, I don't agree.
Well, we're going to move on. We're going to move on to our next story. A Netherlands nonprofit organization called the Ocean Up had a successful test run of a new device that picks up plastic in the ocean. After previous failed attempts, their innovative system is now able to skim the ocean for plastics of all sizes, from large pieces down to microplastics. The invention is a U-shaped 1,800-foot-long floating device that has a ghost net hanging from underneath to catch the trash. As the debris floats, the ocean current retains its constant stream below the net, allowing marine life to pass underneath. This is the first of many that will be manufactured in the efforts to clean up our oceans. The system was released in June to clean the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, which extends between California and Hawaii and is double the size of Texas. The Ocean Cleanup's goal is to clean up 90% of the polluted oceans by 2040.
Hey, are you constantly dodging people on skateboards when you're on your way to class? Well, it turns out there have been restrictive rules in effect since 2008. President Gordon signed Directive Number 16, which states that people are encouraged to use alternative forms of transportation, such as scooters and bikes, in the designated areas, except for skateboards. Skateboards are deemed as unsafe due to the likelihood of someone falling off the board and it projecting towards another person. Skateboarders also have the ability to do tricks that can destroy the university's property. This semester, university police have created new no skateboarding signs posted all around campus. Yet their efforts still seem to fall on deaf ears.
If you thought carving jack-o'-lanterns was tough already, you should try doing it underwater. A group of scuba divers in Key Largo, Florida got together over the weekend to compete in an underwater pumpkin carving contest. Nearly 24 divers working in pairs dove right into this competition using dive knives and carving tools to create their spectacular creations. Their biggest challenge was keeping a grip on their pumpkins, which are naturally buoyant, while they carved into them. This year's winners were a team from Detroit who won a free dive trip in Key Largo. Their pumpkin featured 2 eels creating a heart.
Last week, the CSUF ASI committee held their first town hall meeting of the fall semester. The Daily Titan reports that students voiced their concerns on various topics, including the $1.5 billion that were found in a recent CSU audit, where students questioned what that money was allocated for. Also relieved and discussed was a 2016 resolution that initiated efforts to increase class attendance for African American students. Since this was promised, these numbers have dropped. Also largely debated was concerns about student safety and security on campus. Since this town hall meeting, CSUF is planning to host a future safety meeting in the upcoming months to allow students to discuss their specific safety concerns and help find solutions.
Apparently, Martin Scorsese doesn't think the Avengers are such good fellas after all. The famed director recently told British Empire magazine that he hasn't viewed any of the Marvel films over the past decade, linking them to theme parks. He claims the blockbusters are, quote, not cinema, end quote, which sparked much controversy among fans and even filmmakers online. Actor Samuel L. Jackson, who has appeared in 11 Marvel films, dismissed Scorsese's judgments, telling Variety magazine that, quote, films are films. You know, everybody doesn't like his stuff either, end quote. And I just want to point out, technically, the definition of cinema is the production of movies as an art or industry. So if we're being technical here, anything can really count as cinema. And Endgame alone made $2.796 billion in the box office. That's a lot of money, so I don't think a lot of people are going to agree with him on this one.
I love Sam. I love him, and his reaction was amazing. If you're going into that world, if you're going to be an artist, a director, you're going to be criticized. You're not going to be loved by everyone. And his response, he shook it off, brushed it off, and said, that doesn't really matter. I'm still making the big bucks. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Good to Samuel. Yeah, he could have gone off on this guy, as he has done to plenty of people in the past. So good for Samuel, especially because he's been in several of these superhero movies. But what I think the major concern is here is Martin is specifically talking about there being a correlation between art and like the financial benefits of it, where if you're making a film that's constituted as art, can it make money? Well, Endgame, bunch of money. Hello, I can't even count that high. That is a lot of money, okay? So just because though it made all of that money, does that mean that it's not art, that it's not considered a good cinematic film?
Oh, by the way, watch what I'm going to do here. Are you ready to boldly go back to the final frontier? Over the weekend, CBS All Access's new show Star Trek Picard debuted a new trailer for their upcoming spin-off at the New York Comic-Con. The show features Sir Patrick Stewart and reprising his role as Captain Jean-Luc Picard from Star Trek The Next Generation. While much of the plot is still kept under wraps, Picard is set 20 years after Star Trek Nemesis, following the death of Data. Aww. The spin-off follows Captain Picard as he comes out of retirement to team up with some new and familiar faces on an all-new mission. The series is set to drop on CBS All Access on January 23rd, 2020. If you didn't catch it over the weekend, take a glimpse of the trailer right here.
We all have a story, just waiting to be claimed. Thank you for not trying to talk me out of all this.
Believe me, I know better.
And with that, that's all the time we have today on The Report. Have a great week, everyone, and stay tuned for more views, news, and information. I'm Gabriella Martinez.
I'm Ryan Matthew.
I'm Jefferson Denham.
And I'm Bree Eastlick. Stay fresh, Fullerton.